Do you remember your very first panel discussion that you ever saw? I remember mine. I was a first-year cadet, otherwise known as a swab, at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy, and Ted Turner was invited to speak to the cadets. And so he was part of a panel discussion. And I kid you not, this guy sat down and he draped his legs over the chair. And this is how he held the panel discussion. I think it was drunk. I don't know. Could be me. My name is Kristin Arnold, and I am a master facilitator as well as a leading authority on panel discussions. And I gotta tell you, that is not how you should be sitting in a panel discussion. I guess if you're a bazillionaire, I guess you can. However, most of us mere mortals, there is a proper way to sit in the various chairs that you have in a panel discussion. Let's find out more. Let's face it, your audiences, they are judging the panel moderator and the panelists, the book by the cover. You have about 10 seconds to establish your credibility with the audience, and the way that you sit in some of those chairs, some are more awkward than others, says a lot about whether they are going to respect what you say. So let's dive right on in. So in this video, I'm going to share some general principles about how to sit in chairs on the stage, as well as some specific pointers for director's chairs, bar stools, as well as chairs like this and your sofas. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about posture. You should be sitting up straight. Just because your seat back has a recliner position doesn't mean you should sit like this. Doesn't this, this is more comfortable? Certainly. But does it exude confidence? Does it show that you are interested in hearing what other people are saying? So an upright posture is preferable. What about your feet? Feet, they are firmly on the ground or close to the ground. Do not hold your feet up, because this creates a barrier between you and the audience. And when you put your hands here, it creates even more of a barrier, which means I don't want to connect with you as an audience. And honestly, I'm not sure I really want to connect with you as a panelist. So put both feet on the floor, or you can have a slight cross over the knee or at your ankle. Now, when I was at the Coast Guard Academy, little known fact, they sent us to charm school in the first summer when I was a swab, sweating like a crazy recruit. And they actually said, sit like this, a long leg. I gotta tell you, this is the most uncomfortable way to sit, but it looks great. Posture up, your legs in and out. I do not recommend this for men. It looks a little too strange. But women, especially if you are in a dress, this is a good way to keep everything together. Unlike this position, which unfortunately I see a lot of men sitting in this kind of position. If you're a woman and you're in a pantsuit, this is fine. We do not need the Sharon Stone look. But if you think about it, the audience, their eyes, especially if you are on a raised stage, their eyes is looking right around this area. This is not a good look, people. Not at all. So we've talked about your posture straight. Your feet either on the floor or close to the floor. What about your hands? I really don't recommend this. Number one, it makes you want to lean back. Number two, it kind of looks a little defensive. Maybe you're cold, but this is kind of a defensive posture. So I would recommend your hands on your lap, or if you are at a table, maybe you put your hands on the table, or you put your hands on the armrest. Or maybe one hand is on your lap and one's on the armrest. Look natural. Look conversational. This probably not a great idea. Or worse yet, pull out your iPhone or your phone and you start scrolling. I have actually seen this happen, that people like pull out their phone and start looking at something. You might be looking at notes that you want to say or a statistic that you want to share, but most people just think it's rude because it looks like you're multitasking in a panel discussion. And who does that? So it's posture, leaning forward if you're interested in engaging. We've got our feet on our ground. And what was the other one? Oh, our hands. Okay, so let me back up on that one. So you've got good posture. You're not leaning back. You're not leaning too far forward because that could look kind of aggressive. You're leaning forward as you're wanting to engage. You've got your feet on the ground. You've got your hands either on your lap or on the rests. At this point, it's just enjoy. Like, this is going to be a great conversation. Try not to fidget too much. You know, like, or you're going to pull this down, or maybe you're worried about something. Like, fidgeting is not going to work. Pulling on things. Just do a check of your wardrobe and make sure that you don't have any wardrobe malfunctions or, like everything's buttoned up, zippered up, you're looking good so that you're not fidgeting. Fidgeting doesn't convey confidence. So when you're sitting in a chair, why not smile? Like, look happy. Tell your face that you're having a good time. Nod. Have eye contact with your fellow panelists. Look out into the audience. Say hello to your panel moderator. Don't just talk to the panel moderator. Talk to your fellow panelists. Talk to the audience. Smile. These are things that you do while you're sitting down that helps engage the audience. Final tip is just be respectful of your space. Sometimes there's a lot of room, and you can use big open hand gestures. If you are seated next to somebody and it's a closed space, you're not going to be able to do this, or you're going to whack them. That's not very fun. So think about your own personal space and just be mindful that the way that the stage is set up, that you probably don't have that much influence on the chairs, so you want to get in early and test the chairs, make sure that you're comfortable in them and that you know kind of, here's how I'm going to sit, here's how I'm feeling, here's how I'm feeling with my clothes on, and can I see the audience? Can I see the other panelists? Are we all in a straight row? Or are we bowed a little bit? So that you can get comfortable enough with how you're going to sit in a chair during a panel discussion. Now, I'm just curious because I know that you're like going, are we really talking about this? Yes, because you know what? Not a whole lot of people do. And we do judge a book by its cover. I'm just wondering what you think. If you might put some comments in the notes below. And while you're there, if you don't mind liking this video and subscribing to this channel, that would be awesome. I appreciate you. Alrighty, so here's a specific tips section. I'm going to talk about sitting on a chair and or a couch. Very similar characteristics, chair or a couch. And then I'm going to be sharing about a bar stool or a director's chair. So if you're sitting on a chair like this, or a couch that is, a bench of a chair, there's a couple of things that you really want to pay attention to. First off is don't slouch. This is called a slouch. Your butt is not towards the back of the chair and you are leaning into the back. Now, some people, your legs are not long enough to sit all the way in the back of the chair. Sit in a comfortable position, but then sit upright. for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, tops 90 minutes, do you really need to lean back into your chair? Come on, people, you know how to sit up straight. So sit up straight and do not slouch. Think about personal space when you are on a couch. Think that there's enough room between the two people that you could comfortably move your hands, right? So it's not like you're sitting right next to the person, but it's not like they're the Grand Canyon away. So when you're sitting next to somebody, think like if we had two chairs next to each other, that they would be sitting in a chair next to you, but it just happens to be a couch. Just because you're sitting in a couch doesn't mean it's your home. Like, okay, I've actually seen this. Somebody's sitting in a chair like this. Now, maybe they sit there at home like this, but this is really a weird situation that you're not going to sit in it for 60 minutes like that. You'd probably lose circulation on your leg. So now they're going to get up midway and change legs or whatever they're going to do, or maybe come back to putting both feet on the floor. The other thing is, don't favor one side over the other. Because you have panelists or your moderator on one side or the other, and that starts looking like, I don't know, maybe you might be bored, or maybe you might be favoring that panelist, or it just doesn't make any sense. So just because you can doesn't mean you should. Alrighty, so now we are on a bar stool. A bar stool that swivels. How exciting is this? Do not swivel during your panel discussion. If you can, try to have bar stools that do not swivel. But if they do, put your feet on a landing, a bar that is with the bar stool, and keep them there to keep yourself from swiveling around. Because we've seen this, haven't we? People who swivel. And what's really funny is when you see one person start swiveling, you see the entire panel start swiveling, and they are not swiveling in syncopation. It's an eyesore at best. Bar stools like this, generally there are no armrests, so just lay your hands very comfortably on your lap, and that's fine. Make sure that you sit up straight, and it's even more important that you sit up and balance yourself. This bar stool has a little bit of a wiggle in it. So if you know you're sitting on a bar stool that has a wiggle, you could actually put a shim underneath one of the legs if you check it out early enough. Or it's even more important that you sit squarely and don't fidget so much. Like, this would be really irritating in the middle of a panel discussion. And this kind of behavior about moving your legs a lot creates instability on a bar stool like this. So let's talk about director's chairs. Honestly, this is my favorite. I love director's chairs because they're elevated. So if you don't have a stage, having an elevated bar stool or a director's chair is awesome. Director's chairs have arms, even more awesome. Director's chairs have a place to put your feet. Not all bar stools do. So that plate, depending on the stature of the person, can, in some bar stools or director's chairs, in some director's chairs, can be moved up or down, depending on how tall you are. So I like director's chairs because it's very hard to slouch in them. Most people do sit up tall. You can lean back, but you can't lean back very far. You can fold them up, so it makes it easy to transport. And here's another thing that I like to do as either a meeting organizer or as a planner or as a moderator. Here's one of the things that I like to do as the panel moderator, or the meeting organizer might join in on this, is that you actually ship these back to the panelists, and you have their names inscribed in the back canvas panel. And it makes just a very nice thank you gift to the panelists. It's like, oh, I was in my Hollywood chair. I like these chairs. Couple of things that you need to be paying attention to. Again, posture, your feet, your hands either on your lap or on the sides. Generally speaking, if you get a good director's chair, they're pretty solid. This one I got off of Amazon for like $70. You can't beat it. It's nice and solid wood, made in America. You go. So think about a director's chair for your panel. So that's how you sit in a chair in a panel discussion. Who knew that there were so many little nuances to pay attention to? If you like that, I invite you to subscribe to our channel here at YouTube. And I also have a free 7-part video series at www.howtomoderateapanel. Check it out, and thanks for watching. I appreciate you.